We have a wonderful history of steam locomotives in the United States. They carried our legacy across the plains of the past. We think of them as being extinct, almost like dinosaurs. But think again. This is Challenger locomotive number 3985. It was run by the Union Pacific Railroad and built by the American Locomotive Company, also known as ALCO. The Union Pacific designed and named this high-speed locomotive and purchased 105 of them, more than any other railroad. It is currently the largest working steam locomotive in the world. It is hard to fully appreciate how large this locomotive is, unless you are standing right next to it. It stands 16 feet 2.5 inches tall and is 122 feet long. Behind the locomotive is a centipede tender. It is supported by a series of 14 wheels. This series of wheels supports the enormous load of fuel and water consumed by this mighty locomotive. 32 tons of coal is carried to be burned in the firebox. The 3985 also carries 25,000 gallons of water. When heated, that creates steam pressure. 280 pounds of boiler pressure move pistons that drive 69-inch driving wheels, which in turn produces up to 98,000 pounds of tractive effort. The engine and tender together weigh an incredible 1 million pounds. The fireman who sits to the left of the engineer in the cab is responsible for maintaining the steam pressure. This is done by keeping water in the boiler and a hot fire in the firebox. If the fire goes down or becomes what they call uneven, pressure will drop and the engine will slow down. The pressure of the air jets is used to move the coal around inside the firebox to create an even fire, allowing the 3985 to thunder down the rails at almost 70 miles per hour. The 3985 locomotive is called an articulated locomotive. When negotiating around curves, it bends in the middle for better maneuverability. Here you can see where the locomotive moves to the left, and then back to the right. It has a wheel configuration called 4664, 4 leading wheels up front, 2 sets each of 6 driving wheels, and 4 trailing wheels. The driving wheels carry the bulk of the locomotive, but the smaller wheels are better in approaching the turns. The wonderful thing about the restoration of this locomotive is that it was all done by volunteers. The Challenger was on display in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and in 1979, Union Pacific employees started the restoration. It was up and running in 1981, after 4,000 man-hours of work. Back in 1941, there was an increased demand for trains because we were engaged in World War II. The War Production Board asked the railroads to build more locomotives, but using already existing styles because time was of the essence. The Union Pacific applied for a new series of engines, and they were numbered from 3975 to 3999. These locomotives, which included the 3985, were started in 1942 and completed in 1943. They were nicknamed War Babies. Today, people are still overwhelmed with the majesty of this locomotive. Rail fans from around the world come to Cheyenne, Wyoming, home of the 3985, to ride excursions behind this famous locomotive. It is a cold, foggy day in May 1987, and we are going to travel aboard one of these excursions to show you the majesty of this locomotive and how it recalls in our imagination another era. The cold, foggy weather doesn't dampen the spirit of the visitors because the locomotive still looks great in the fog. In the distance, you see snow fences that were built by the railroad to keep snowdrifts away from the tracks in the winter. It is interesting to note that with the cold, wet weather, the hot cinders do not pose a problem for the local landscape as in the summer. The cold weather also makes the steam leaks from the 3985 more apparent.